big warm welcome back to you. Now, throughout this year's Olympics, we've seen many incredible athletes bring home medals for our Team GB. But our next guests didn't just win medals for our country, they did it all with very young children.
Yeah, major cuteness alert at home, OK? Because this is going to be so lovely. Mathilda Hodgkins-Byrne won a bronze medal in the sculls, whilst her 2-year-old son Freddie cheered her on from the side of the boating lake. And Amber Rutter gave birth to her beautiful baby Tommy just 3 months ago, which is incredible. She brought home silver. Should have been a goal, Jose.
Well, there's a bit of controversy about that,
there should be VAR in shooting. The Olympic champions join us in the studio now. Good morning, both. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it's good to be here.
And you've both got your medals. You've looked at you. Hello, how are you? Oh,
Oh, no.
Normally kids really like me.
He'll go from very shy to running around and polling everything in a minute.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, do you know what? Super mums spring to mind. One, how do you both look like you do? And two, how were you bringing home medals with such young children? Absolutely incredible stuff. I remember when I had mine this age, I couldn't even hardly leave the house. How did you do it all, Mathilda?
And for me, I think it was all I knew to carry on rowing. I was able to train throughout my pregnancy and then pick it up again after. And in my first year, I had a mix of training at home and training at the training centre, and then Freddie went to a childminder and I joined back full time. So he's been part of the journey this Olympiad.
It's interesting, Amber, isn't it? Because a lot of the other countries had kind of already accepted that a lot of the female competitors would want their babies with them. They've had creches. This is the first time there's a creche in the Olympic Village, right, for GB athletes.
I just think, that's just such a talking point for the whole of the Olympics, to really, encourage mums that your life doesn't stop just because you have kids, and you can still go to the Olympic Games, and it's just making it so much more accessible. So even though I was, 3.5 hours away from this creche and didn't even know that Tommy was going to come along, my husband completely surprised me. I just think it's such an inspirational movement that the Olympics are really encouraging women to stay in sport and still compete.
It's actually incredible, you know, and you two have brought it home. Now, Mathilda, I know you went to the 2020 Tokyo Olympics and, you had a little bit of a taste for it there. And then after you had Freddie, were things different for you then? Did you feel that you needed to go back to prove it to your little one? Or?
Yeah, I think so. I wanted to end it on my terms, and I didn't want it that just because I'd had a baby, that was the end of my career. And I'm really glad I did, coming off from the water and then seeing him in the grandstand, and he was actually lowered down to me. And then being part of it, it just completes the picture.
A lot of people, Tom Daly said he went back for his children, and it feels like you went back for Freddie as well.
Yeah, I think so. For me, it's my job. So, and all my friends have gone back having had their children. So I'm just going back to do my job.
And thank God you did go back.
You've had Helen Glover there, because Helen Glover has, one of our greatest Olympians, and she's 3 kids, and she's managed it, But, it would have been tougher for her 4 years ago as well, because we were seen as this amazing thing. We need to make this a normal thing, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. And I think UK sport bringing in a maternity policy was, very, very pivotal in this. Before, it wasn't something we considered that it would be possible to carry on being pregnant and stay funded. And I was part of a WhatsApp group, and there's about 15 of us on it, and we've all been able to benefit from it, which has been so important to us.
Amber, I was screaming at my television. I came in so annoyed after this, OK? Because in the final of the shooting, I saw that you hit the clay. OK? Now, ordinarily in sport, you'll go to VAR, like in football, and they could have reviewed the video and you would have been back in the medal scrap. But they wouldn't do it.
I know.
Oh, my word.
It was a really tough one to take, but that's sport for you, and it happens so often. And I know it wasn't just me that was affected in that final. Some of the other girls as well, that they were convinced that they hit shots, but there was just no VAR system to look back on, which is actually quite surprising, really, because I know a lot of the other sports had it. And then it's something we have also had in place in our sport for the last, I think it's been for the last 4 years. So I'm not quite sure whether they forgot it this time, but it is one of those things. And with all the disappointment I had over catching COVID the night before I went to Tokyo, I was like, I cannot let another thing take away from this moment. Like, I just really want to celebrate my performance, and it's something that has really been a team effort.
We saw Noah Lyles last night. He didn't get the gold medal in the 200 metres because he found out he had COVID the night before the race. And I mean, my word, I mean, you can plan for so much over 4 years, but then these things come along and just tear it all apart, can't they?
Oh, yeah. Like, when we got back from our training camp, suddenly COVID was a thing again. I think we were in Italy, we were kind of a bubble safe from it. And to be going to another Olympics and then this was a thing again, we were all masked up and having to, like, stay away from people. And I think it was just something I hadn't considered, that the next Olympics would also have COVID coming back.
Can I ask you, but hello.
Oh, dear.
Oh, coffee there.
Oh, dear.
How old is Tommy now, then?
So Tommy is about 3.5 months now. So...
How did you fit it all in, Amber? How did you fit in your training as well as a 3.5-month-old?
I'm not going to lie, it's been tiring, and I have to always thank my mum and dad and my husband James. Like, this has been like a real team effort to even like mentally just like think, because there's been some really tough moments where I felt like proper mum guilt over leaving him with my mum, like going back to training, and then still like having to put in a good performance. And it has just been the craziest few months, but it is a massive thanks to the team around me as well, and British Shooting, UK Sport. There's like so many aspects to it that have really made it possible to even make this comeback.
You've been ordered to get Daddy. Daddy, you can bring in the toy. Bring in the toy, Daddy. Bring in the toy. Daddy's coming in with the. Daddy's coming in now.
Look.
Wow.
That's your toy. That's the Olympic mascot.
Oh, look
Well
at
done,
his
Daddy.
little mascot.
Well done.
Amber, we know that mum guilt, it is real. Mum guilt is real, but you've brought it home. You've done this for yourself. I mean, you must be so proud.
It's one of those things that when you have kids, your whole perspective on life just changes, and it's that.
Daddy, will you listen to the child and sit down? Freddie, say sit down. Thank you.
It's one of those things that, like, your whole perspective on life just changes, and, like, just to turn around, and my husband completely surprised me in that final where I had no idea that he was going to be there, and to see Tommy in that moment, it just makes the whole Olympic experience and everything that I've done over these last few months just feel really, really worth it. So, yeah, it's all for him, really.
Mathilda, can you give us an idea, particularly your event? I know the excruciating pain you go through whilst training and racing. I mean, rowing is really a physically brutal sport. What's it like as you cross that line and you know you've made a podium? What's that feeling?
Just relief. We were so relieved. We knew going into it we were considerably faster than everyone thought we were. But you knowing... Thank you. You knowing what you're capable of versus the rest of the world and then actually being able to deliver it. The Olympics results aren't always what you expect them to be. So going over the finish line and then knowing we've got a medal when we definitely weren't expected to, yeah, we were just so relieved, and that is so surreal.
There was a story in today's papers about the medals, and I think... Was it a skateboarder saying his medal had gone a little bit funny because he wore it and he thought the sweat had affected it and there's a bit of deterioration, but actually...
Yeah, mine has as well.
It's happened on yours as well. Yeah. So this was all... When we saw you get this on the podium, it was all beautiful and shiny. Can I hold it? Will I hold that too? So can you see it's kind of a little bit... And that's not from... You haven't dropped it or anything. You see it all... So what's happened there? Has that happened to yours as well?
Mine has happened, the exact same thing. And I was, like, blaming Tommy at one point. I was like, maybe from him chewing on it or something. It's damaged it. I was like, what on earth has happened? But mine has done the exact same thing where it's just got, like, marks all over it. And but whether it was just handing it around, but the fact that now it's came out, like, I think all the other athletes were sort of thinking it, but were like, I don't know whether to say something about it. But, yeah. Oh, it's fine.
There we go. Down the floor, down the floor.
This is everything I've got to come, I think. So, but yeah, mine's done the exact same thing. So I'm not sure where it's come from. But the cool thing about it is it does have a piece of the Eiffel Tower, which at first I was like, it's a bit scratched up, but to find out it was a piece of the Eiffel Tower is so cool.
Well, Freddie, I want to thank you so much for coming on this morning. And you, Tommy, what a beautiful baby you've got. And ladies, thank you for bringing it home. Congratulations.
Well done.
Wow.
Daddy, sit down.
Super mums there, super mums.